to the Knitting Eillets podcast. Here from 30 degrees hot Switzerland, but I can definitely feel autumn coming. We have a lot of misty mornings and golden sunrises, and the leaves are starting to turn yellow. I just love this time of year when you you can see autumn arriving, but it's still warm. But I'm definitely ready for some little bit cooler temperatures. Before I start with this 4th episode of my podcast, I really want to thank the 35 human beings who actually think my content is worthy of their subscriptions. So, dear subscribers, thank you very much for your subscription. I'm thrilled, I am overwhelmed, I'm so grateful. I never expected this. I was expecting like 4 subscriptions, my sister and 3 friends, 4 friends maybe. And I'm just overwhelmed. I'm very happy to see that you like what I'm doing, and if you like what I'm doing, please hit the subscribe button down below and the like button. It would really make me happy to see that you really like what I'm doing. Again, thank you so much. And now, let's get started with this 4th episode. I will start with what I am wearing. I'll just put myself up a bit so you can see better. I am wearing, and I will put pictures here, of course, I know now how to do it. I am wearing my first finished object also, which is the Lily Leaf Top by Lene Tøsti. Still not sure if I pronounce your name correctly. I'm so sorry if I butchered it. I really love how this one turned out. It's, I think, one of my most perfect garments I knit. The fit is just wonderful. The wool, the yarn is wonderful. I love this lace pattern. It's just lovely. I love how it sits, how it feels. So it's just this lace pattern, and on the downside, I will get up a little bit. 1 second. So you can see the 3x1 ribbing all around, and the lovely little lace pattern before the ribbing starts. It's all around. I did do a little change. As you can see here, I decreased from the 3x1 to a 3 stitches, 1 purl, 1 stitch, knit stitch, 1 purl, and then back to the pattern, because I have a very slim and long waist, and if I don't do a waist shaping, it will just kind of flare out. Let me come back to you. So I did this decrease on both sides, and I increased after my waist back to the 3x1 knitting pattern, and it really fits so nicely. And because of the yarn content, I can really wear it in these warm temperatures. It's very airy, it's light, it's not sweaty. I just like wearing it. Of course, if there would be like more than 30 degrees, it's not a top for a... I don't wear knitted tops when it's like 34 degrees or more. Then I really wear my silky dresses, my nothingness. But for this temperatures like 29, 30 degrees, I don't have to do much. I'm mostly inside teaching my class or at home now. It's perfect. It is just so lovely. And even when I go out, I don't sweat. It's very comfy to wear. The yarn is, and I'm not sure if I showed you, I think I showed you one once in the podcast, the yarn ball. It's the Hobby Rainbow Bamboo yarn in this lovely maroon color. It just has a name. It's color 30. I don't know what it's the name of it, but it's number 30. 60% bamboo viscose and 40% cotton, and it is really lovely to knit with. It does not split easily. It is very consistent. It's has a very good stitch definition, as you can see, and I just love the feel. It's so comfy. And you can wash it in the machine, which for me is quite important for summer tops, because although I do not wash my woolen jumpers, winter things a lot, I don't know if I can say this, but I wash them mostly once a year. Which I first, when I heard this in another podcast, I was like, oh my gosh, that is gross. But it is enough for the wool if you kind of just hang it outside, especially on cold winter's day with a little wind. It doesn't smell. It's not dirty. It doesn't take in anything, it seems. It's like a wonder to me, a little miracle. I just love that. But for summer tops, I do sweat under my arms, of course. So I really want to wash this regularly, and that's why I take fabrics that can be washed or yarns that can be washed. And I haven't washed it yet. It's not that long that it's finished. I haven't worn it that much because we had 16 degrees last week. So we had a temperature drop from 20 degrees and now back up 14 degrees. It's crazy. So, but I will wash it now. When I take it off, I will go to the wash, and I've seen with blocking that it just keeps its shape and its form if I lay it flat on the floor to dry. So yeah, will not be a problem, I'm sure of that. I really love it. I'm so happy with this top, and I have, of this yarn, I have another color, like a dark green one. And I really intend to do another one of Lene Tøsti's patterns next summer, maybe the same one, but a bit different, or I might get a new one with another lace pattern up here, and yeah, I just love it. So I have 3 other finished objects, 2 of which you can see here on the sofa. I didn't talk about those in my in-between podcast episode series thingy, whatever you want to call it, 2 weeks ago, about roughly 2 weeks ago. I talked about my autumn knitting plans, and yeah, plans are made to be changed, obviously. The reason is I didn't feel very well. I was very stressed from work. I felt a bit under the weather because we had 20 degrees temperature drop from 36 to 16 degrees last week. So it was a bit much, everything, and I didn't have the headspace to go to my more complicated knitting patterns, to which I will come later. So I just needed something very easy, very simple, and I kind of cleaned my download folder on my laptop, and I stumbled over a pattern I downloaded a while ago, I think somewhere in spring, and it's the Autumnal Pumpkins pattern by Blue Fern Yarns. And this is a free pattern you can find online. If you type in Google's Autumnal Pumpkins Blue Fern Yarns, it will direct you to the Blue Fern Yarns page, and there you can download the pattern for free. It's a very simple pattern. It's just stockinette or garter stitch. There's even a crochet part in it, I think, or a pattern for a crochet pumpkin if you want to crochet one. I just chose 2 variations. One is this one, which alternates the garter stitch and the stockinette stitch. It's just so lovely. I have one stray yarn here, but it doesn't bother me when it's sitting somewhere as a decoration. You basically just knit kind of a small scarf, like 3 times the length than the height, and then you kind of sew it together, you close it at the bottom, you stuff it with lots of stuffing, close the top the same way you did at the bottom, and then you can just leave it like that, like more of a round kind of pumpkin, or you can do this typical shape, which I really love, with the yarn going like through and around, so you get these little lumps. There's also a part who shows or explains you how to knit or crochet the stem in here, but I actually just took a little stick of my garden and just kind of stuck it in there. I stabbed my pumpkin. But I think it adds to it. It's a bit more of another texture, of another material there. I really like that. I did a second smaller one in just garter stitch, which was even easier, and it was very quickly done. Like in one evening I had this one, and in one evening I had, or a bit more of it than an evening, with a half an afternoon I had this one knit up. So it's a perfect beginner's decoration thing. I will put them back here so they can be my decoration for now. I really like them. As a yarn, I used scrap yarn. For the little red orangey one, I had an unknown, very, very, very old, I think, cotton yarn left. It was a little bit bigger than this, so I didn't use too much yarn. And I have this red baby alpaca. I think it's a long yarn baby alpaca. I bought this to make a time turner sweater from the Harry Potter knitting books, but it was just too thin. I didn't like how it knit up. So I frocked that sweater. I brought back most of the yarn. I could bring it back to my local yarn store, the ones that were unused. But of course this one was used and the yellow one was used, and I just kicked them back up, and now I used this, and this held together with a needle. I think it was 4.5 or 5 millimeters, something like that, I don't remember, and just knit up that little garter rectangle. And for the yellow one I used my Easy Care Merino Classic from Mayflower and this yellow yarn, which is the yellow alpaca, together with this. Although I had another scrap yarn first, and I can show you if you can see the difference. I think here is the change. Like where there's a bit more yellowy honey colored yarn, and this is where the Mayflower starts. It's also a bit thinner, and this one is a bit thicker. It didn't last for the whole pumpkin, unfortunately, so I had to change in the middle of a part, which didn't bother me. I can just turn it around however I want it, and I really love those. They're just cute and very autumnal. So I was in this autumnal feeling with this weather last week. Didn't feel too well. It was an easy mindless knit. It's a free pattern again on bluefernyarns.com, I think. I will put it somewhere here so you can see what it's written like and check out their page if you want to. Really lovely pattern, very easy. I, by the way, hope you have something nice to drink next to you, whether it may be hot or cold. I have a very light colored syrup. It's homemade elderflower syrup and a little bit of store-bought raspberry syrup and a dash of lemon juice. It's very refreshing. So my last finished object is another very small one. It's the Linna headband by herbgardenknitwear. I am participating in the herbgardenknitwear Cal from my North Knit Corner, Anne, who initiated this knit along. I was just lost of the word. I saw it in her podcast, and I wanted to participate. I just fell in love with this headband. It's kind of this cable pattern, but it's two cable rows next to each other, but you kind of don't cross each other. They seem to come out of each other. It's very nice. And at some point you separate it and you twist it, and then you knit it back together. So it's a very simple pattern too. It's also very mindless. I loved knitting it, and I also love the wool that it's knitted up with. This is one of my all-time favorite wools in the world, and unfortunately they have stopped producing it. So it's the Lang Cash Soft from recycled cashmere fibers with a merino part in it. 50% cashmere, 50% merino wool. And it's just, they had gorgeous colors. And when I knew they would stop producing this yarn, I kind of bought a little quantity. It was like a year ago or so, in different colors I liked. And I have this, I made a jumper out of this purple color, and this is what I have left. A little bit here and the whole ball here. So I decided to make this headband matching to my jumper. I can pop it on quickly so you can see how it looks like. It's a bit hot for wearing a headband, but yeah, I really like how it looks, how it feels. It's not too tight. I always hate it when headbands are too tight and they start like sliding around your head, so I always knit them quite loosely and they stay on my head. So I can, because it's so wide, I can kind of pull it all the way over my ear, which I really like when there's a cold wind. Or I can just do like the top of my ear. That's it. Nothing very special, very easy, lovely written pattern, and I can only recommend this pattern. And of course the knit along. If you want to knit along, I think you can still enter. It runs for a while. I might do a second one for my sister. I most definitely will do a second one in another color for her. This is not really her color. This is more like my color. I love this kind of purple color. And yeah, it will suit perfectly to my sweater I've knitted with this yarn. This ball was already started when I took it out, and I was like, oh, let's see how far I can go with it, and I didn't even finish this ball. So I don't know how much grams this is. I didn't measure it before. I didn't measure it afterwards. I'm not that much into numbers. It just lasted long. So with one ball of yarn, I guess you can, with an average meter or yardage, meterage, this has 110 meters on 50 grams. It's a DK weight, so you can most definitely do 2 of these, maybe even 3, depending on the sizes. My way to kind of sew the whole thing together was a bit improvised. She had a very nice instruction in the pattern how to sew this together with kind of a 3-needle bind-off or something, and I was like, yeah. Kind of had stitches here on my needles. I had the back stitches just casted on normally, and then I took it all together and kind of went through the stitch on my needle and the round there stitch which I casted on, and knit through both. But I of course didn't think about it giving a little seam kind of thing. I can show you a bit close up. It gives kind of a seam. It's a nice seam, but it was a seam, so I could have turned it kind of inside out and did it this way. I think that would have been better. So the next time I will try doing this seaming together, or knitting it together inside out, so the seam is on the inside. It was a bit wider on this, where the seam was. It was like flaring out a bit. I didn't like that, so I just went through with the needle and the longer tail of yarn and kind of cinched it in a bit, so it's a bit more cohesive looking. Yeah, lovely pattern. Try it, and herbgardenknitwear has a lot of nice patterns on her Ravelry page. I've seen. I just have so many other plans for jumpers or bigger projects. It's not, I cannot manage to do another jumper, and I really was looking to make another headband. I only have one knitted headband, and I love wearing this, and I thought it was time for a second one. Then let's go to my whips. My first whips is actually something I planned to do in my last in-between episodes video. It is the Minerva socks pattern from Sari Nordlund. I almost finished the first sock, and I really love this cable pattern she came up with, like this little flower blossoming and the little leaves there. It's just marvelous. I knitted on 2.75 millimeter needles. I always do a DP ends for socks. I don't like to do them on magic loop. And it's a bit of it's not the mindless sock knitting you might want at some times. You have to concentrate for the pattern. I'm almost at the end, have to do some more rows, and then I will go into the ribbing. These will be like home socks, so I don't like them to be too long. So I stop after kind of one full repeat, and yeah, they have the right length for me. Of course, you can lengthen or shorten them how much you want. As you can see, they are toe up actually in the pattern. But I changed the heel from her, I think it's a heel flap and gusset, she does something like this, and I just did my standard shadow wrap short row heel. I just love how this one looks, and it's not interfering with the pattern too much. It just looks very neat. I normally knit my socks with 3mm needles and 48 stitches. She suggests 64 stitches for my size, so I wanted to knit with but 2.5mm needles, but I wanted to knit with 2.75mm needles. I don't like those tiny thin 2.5 needles. Oh, not my thing. So I'm a tight knitter, so I can usually go up and get the same stitch amount or gauge with a bit of a bigger needle. But I also decreased some lines of the pattern. In between these lines here, there would have been one more purl stitch line, like it would be further apart, not that close together. I actually like how this looks with the line not there, but when I just tried them on last evening, and it is quite, because I think it's because of the purl stitches, it looks quite stretched out when I wear them. Maybe it will loosen up more when I blocked them. I will try this as soon as this sock is finished and see how it looks like, how it fits. But it could be that with the second one I will add 4 stitches, 8 stitches, so that it is a bit more loosely fitting, that it doesn't stretch that much. It's not like it feels tight, it just looks a bit stretched out. The yarn, once again, is the Remi Demi, can you see? No, Remi Demi socks. Sorry, it's kind of broken in the back, so Remi Demi sock yarn Honig, color Honig, which would be honey in English. I think it's more of a sunflower color, but maybe it's just me. It's 75% superwash blue-faced Leicester and 25% nylon. I bought it in Yarn Over Berlin, in the yarn shop in Berlin, and it's from Frida Fuchs. So I'm looking forward to knit the second sock. The second whip is another pumpkin. I want to make a huge one, kind of a big one. And you can see I already have this much, but there is quite a bit missing, and it turned too hot to knit with this wool because it is a little bit scratchy. I cannot tell you what wool this is. They are two huge, especially that one, huge balls of yarns which I got, and they were in my stash. I never knitted with them because they're a bit scratchy. This one is way better than this one. This is quite scratchy wool acrylic blend, I guess, from the feel of it. This is more of a wool. It's a bit soft and it has these nice speckles, like this purple, not purple. What am I saying? These orange and black and the little white speckles. I'm still with the headband from before. So I thought this was very fitting for a pumpkin, and I knit this on huge 6mm needles. It's huge stitches, and I really like how it knits up, that you can see the little orange speckles in the fabric. I just do stockinette stitch, and I calculated that this is about 30 centimeters, so I need to do around 90 centimeters, but I think I might do a bit less, so the pumpkin isn't that flat when you close it, but it's a bit more high, like, a bit more of a higher, rounder one. I don't want to do this shape, I just want to leave it high and round, so it kind of can stand behind them. So I would really love that. So need to get on with this as soon as it gets a bit colder. Then my little, in German you say Sorgenkind, very child. Not troublemaker, it doesn't make trouble, it's just I don't know what to do, really. So I started, as you know from my last podcast, yes, I started the Tolsta Tee pattern, which I'm doing into a sweater with my Abercairn yarns I bought in, what was the store called? It was in Edinburgh, and it was, you can see it in my second podcast. I came back from Edinburgh there, our Scotland trip, and I introduced this yarn there. It's Abercairn yarns, and I bought it in Edinburgh, Scotland. It's this beauty of a yarn. It is just gorgeous. But you will see my problem when I try putting it over my head. First of all, I think it's very big. Let me see, where is front, where is back, where is sleeve, where is everything. So here. It's quite big. It might go with a added ribbing. I skipped that one. But I don't think that the colors are suiting me. I think it's just not my colors. I'm more of a warm toned, warm color lass, and this is just, it's too cool, it's too wildly variegated to have it like this. It doesn't speak to me. I love the yarn. It is so soft. It is so nice to knit with, and it's very funny to knit with, actually. I love seeing how the speckles are going and how the variegations are coming up. But when I put it on, I was like, I don't like it on me. The pattern is lovely. Everything is fine. It's just, if you compare with the brown part here, you can see these are cool colors, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do because I really want to knit this yarn up into a garment because I love it so much. But when I hold it up, I'm like, oh no, I don't like it. I will not wear it, and it's a fingering sweater, and I really don't want to knit up and put all this work into my knitted fingering sweater and then not wear it because the color is not my colors and it doesn't suit with anything in my wardrobe. So I will frock this for now. I will put it aside for a little bit, and I might try to get my hands on some Sari alpaca silk in white and knit this up with the Sari alpaca silk. The gauge will be bigger then. I'm now using 3.75 millimeter needles. I could use 4 or maybe even 4.5 millimeter needles to get a bit more of an open gauge. And maybe the white Sari alpaca will kind of dilute the colors a bit, that make it more like white with some variegation and speckles, but a bit more toned down maybe. That is my hope. And yeah, as I'm not motivated to knit on this because when I look at it, I love it, but when I hold it up to my face, it does nothing for me. The colors don't do anything for me. It's too wild, it's too cool toned. But I love the color combination. And when I look at it, I'm like, oh my god, it's so beautiful. And the yarn is so nice, really. It has nothing to do with the yarn, it has nothing to do with the pattern. It's solely my color choice. Maybe I should have picked another colorway of the Abercairn yarns in the shop. There were so many lovely colorways, and it was so hard to decide, and I really love this purple yellowish thing. I thought it's something else. I knew it was a bit of a risk, but yeah, I think I can manage to do something with it. if you have any suggestions on how I could make this work for me, if you have experience with holding a Suri alpaca with something like this and it really gets toned down, please comment and give me some tips, some ideas, some suggestions on how I could make this work for me, because I really love it. And you know, if it's white, a white colored jumper with some cooler tones, light variegation in it, I can manage that. I can wear that. That is not a problem. I'm not like, oh, it's not cool, it's not warm colors, I don't wear it. It's just this is just too much for me. This is too much variegation. This is too much, too wild, too many colors that don't suit me together. So I think it's a combination of more than one things. And if it would be mainly white with some colored flares, speckles, whatever you want to call it in it, I think it might work. So let's go to the plans and acquisitions section. Yes, I have some acquisitions. Some of them I announced to you, you know that they are coming, like the wool for my dad's sweater arrived. This was planned for a long time that I knit him a sweater for his 60th birthday or winter before. I think it will be the now aroundish when it gets cooler that I will start it, because the wool has arrived and he likes the colors he's chosen with me. I knit up a little swatch and I think I will get started. So, pattern first. I knit a pattern from this Islam Pullover book by Wenke Müller. It's a really lovely pattern. There are more than one lovely pattern in there. This is the pattern he chose. The Hildur sweater, which always has the sizes for men and women, and they are shaped in a way that you can kind of knit them for both sexes, which is great for both body types. So it's very cool that you can just choose what kind of pattern you like and you can make it fit. It's not a real Icelandic sweater because the wool for both of us is just untouchable, too much. I'm so sorry. I love how it looks, but I cannot touch it. So I chose the Knitting for Olive heavy merino to go for, and chose these three colors, which I think look very nice together. I can also put them like this. I love how they look. This is the color Brown Bear. It looks black. When I take it back here, it's actually not black. I first was like, oh no, they sent me black. They put in the wrong color, because this is the main color. So I had to order like 12 balls of this one, and it was like black in the box. I was like, oh no, they sent me the wrong color, but they didn't. It's actually the Brown Bear color. It's a really, really dark brownish black thing. But when you see it in real life, in the light, it really looks more brown than black. So I really like this one. This here is a lovely, lovely autumnal color, which is called Soft Cognac. Soft Cognac, so like the liquid. And it's just a lovely medium brown. And as a contrast, I took the color Powder, which is a light beigey thing with a warm tone into it. So I really love this combination. And I knit up a little swatch, no pattern, just stripes to see how the yarns go together, how the contrasts are. And I really love how this looks. Ignore the little split stitch there. It's already washed. It's still quite toothy for a merino wool, I think, but it's not washed with wool washing soap cleaning thing. I have no idea how you say that. Washing powder? No, it's not powder, it's liquid washing thing. So it's just water, and I love it. I think this will look great with this pattern, and it will suit him as a color, and he wants to wear this to the stables when he's going out with a horse or his horse and riding out. And it actually, his horse has this kind of colored fur, and it has like this kind of color, and I hold it next to the horse. Actually, it's perfect match. This kind of color highlights in the mane, so they will match together perfectly. I'm looking forward to knit this one. It will be great. I also swatched for my Jennifer Steingass Goldwing sweater, which is in planning since a long time and also came up in my autumn knitting plan video from 2 weeks ago. But there was a bit of a journey of swatching, because first I wanted to take these two colors. I showed you this in the last time, and sorry for the yarn mess here. It's the Mayflower Merino Classic, Easy Care Classic Merino, sorry. And in this color, like, I think it's, I'm not sure they have numbers, 265. It's a very nice warm yellow, and it's this, I think this is called rhododendron, like 236. This lovely red, I love this color. This will be the main color and this will be like the contrast color, but I swatched it. Let me put the other one away, and I didn't like it. It's kind of a green tint in there when you compare it next to the red. The contrast for me, if you look at it in real life, it's a bit more now on the camera, but in real life the contrast is too low for my taste. If I make a sweater that intricate with the colorwork pattern, I want you to be able to see it. I swatched with the powder Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino I ordered from my dad, which was this. I liked it better, but as you can see, the stitches are way bigger than the Mayflower yarns. So I also ordered, with this Knitting for Olive package, I ordered the La Mana Como, which is also a merino wool in a beige, and I thought, yeah, that's it, the light beige would be nice. But this one, as you can see, the stitches are too small compared to the Mayflower, and this is already blocked, so this is how it blooms up, so not very much. You can also see, like, when I hold it up, like maybe like this, you can see it kind of puckers because it's thinner yarn. You can definitely feel it's thinner, you can see it's thinner. And for color work, where I have to go up in needle size, I don't want a thinner yarn. So this whole swatchy thing is for nothing. It just flew away somewhere. You didn't actually see it. Yeah, I wanted to order another Mayflower yarn in a light beige or an off-white. Unfortunately, I couldn't find this somewhere in Germany or Switzerland, or where I could easily get it. So I actually had to order it from the UK. I ordered 4 balls just to be on the safe side if I have to order it from that far, that I don't have like run out of the yarn in the end. So I will go with a white, off-white contrast color, because the lightest one I liked best, and I held it next to my rug I have on the floor, which has a really off-white color, and I really loved the contrast. I know it might look a bit Christmassy with this yarn and the off-white, a little bit winter, but I thought, well, it is a winter jumper. Where's the problem? So yeah, it will not be an autumnal jumper, it will be more like a winter jumper, and I'm waiting for the yarn to arrive. It has been shipped, and yeah, we'll see when it arrives, and I start as soon as I have it. I actually really like how this yarn behaved after blocking. This in the ball is not that soft, but after blocking it turned out quite soft and nice to touch, so I'm looking forward to knitting this up. My last acquisition actually is a book, Charming Colorwork Socks by Charlotte Stone from Stone Knits. I knit 1 pattern from her so far, which were the Toadstool socks. They are also found on my Ravelry page It's from a really sock woolly wool, so they're a bit unnice to touch at the moment, and I wear them over normal bought socks, and sorry for the wrinkliness, they were in my drawer the whole summer, like scrunched up. So, but I really love them, and I love her style of the pattern. I had a lot of troubles with the Colorwork actually, because I'm that much of a tight knitter. I had to do this part like 4 times at least. I increased a whole needle size, so I think from 3 to 3.75 to, I didn't think I did 4. I did 4 once, but it was too gapey. So I went back to 3.5 needle size, and as you can see, I actually also increased a lot of stitches. So for my 48 stitches, no, I did, I think a bit more, I did 52. I had to increase up to 60 so it would fit over my heel. The part is really, you can see it's not stretchy. When I go here or here, very stretchy, not stretchy. Still is a bit tight to get over my heel. And it kind of, I love how they look. I love Colorwork socks, but it kind of drove me off on knitting them because I think maybe I'm just knitting too tight to make Colorwork socks work. But I saw this book and I was like, I will give it another go. I'll just try it again. And she has some nice tips in there on how to knit loosely and how about the floats and everything. So I might give it another go. But I will try another pattern like this where the Colorwork is just at the top. And I actually knit those socks toe up. So I kind of turned around the Colorwork chart so I can knit it from top down and not, no, what I'm saying, that I can knit it from toe up and not top down. So I might do this as well, and I might choose a pattern that has only like a band of Colorwork around. So I really have to knit those. So I really want to do those coffee socks from my mom. And she has a bit smaller feet, so I might try these. I love the cherry ones. There are so many nice patterns in there, like the rose ones, also lovely. I might not do them first because they have Colorwork all over. Although I could skip I could skip these little dots here and just do normal knitting there. Yeah, and she has Colorwork socks like all over Colorwork, but I don't think I will start with one of those. I think I'm set to failure if I do this. I might start with these gorgeous lavender socks, which I just adore. I love lavender. You know I love purple, so yeah, might be my first ones. Also love the swan socks. Yeah, I actually love every pattern in here, so it's very hard to choose. It's actually very hard to choose. The dog patterns, there are animals, flowers, foods, and outdoorsy things, like another mushroom, toadstool pattern. It's great. I love her socks. I love how they look. I love how the pattern is written up. So yeah, I will definitely give it another try for the Colorwork socks and really watch that I'm not knitting too tight. Yeah, I have some exciting things coming up in autumn. I have the Scrappy Yarn Advent from the Creabea knitting podcast, where I'm taking part in. I'm very much looking forward to this. And I have a real, the other one is a real one too, but a bought Advent calendar, which should arrive in October, November somewhere. So hopefully in time to start it in December. It's coming from the UK and I bought it way back in April, May, so long time ago, and it should be full of autumny colored skeins and mini skeins. I'm looking forward to it. I will introduce it to you once it's here, but it's something I'm really looking forward to it. as much as I love summer, I'm really looking forward to the autumn season now. I just love autumn. I just love the colors. I live very close to woods. Actually, when I look out of my window here in my living room, I'm looking at a hill with woods. If I look the other side out of the window, there's also hills with woods on it. And when I go out in the morning, I can already see the mist and the colors changing. I just love that. I'm also ready to have a little bit of a temperature drop, not like too much. I like it warm, but I'm ready for a kind of 20, 22 degrees, not 30 anymore. So I can start wearing my autumnal and knits and my jumpers again and start knitting on these more woolly wools. I hope you liked this 4th episode of my knitting podcast. As always, you can find me on Ravelry as Eillets and on Instagram as knitting_Eillets. Hit the like button if you like this episode and subscribe to my channel if you want to. I would be very happy to have you as a subscriber. Thank you very, very much for watching this episode and see you next time. Bye!